the only heads that look like they're going to roll anytime soon could be anyone who, I mean, particularly older people, whose properties have reached too high a value, because the Chancellor looks like she might want to introduce a mansions tax in the budget.
That would mean that anyone who owns, for instance, a property worth more than £2 million, although we don't yet know where Rachel Reeves would put that bar, but say it's a house worth more than £2 million, they would face paying an awful lot more to the Treasury, probably the difference, a much higher tax rate on the difference between the £2 million and whatever it is then valued. And who values it anyway?
Well, exactly.
How do you know how to value it? Nobody in the housing market at the moment seems to know how to value a home. A flat one of my sons was looking at it said between 500,000 and 625,000.
Oh.
I mean, that's a ridiculous between.
Well, yeah, but you also know if the government was looking at something like that, they'd go for the higher figure.
Yes, of course.
They'd go for the higher figure.
That suggests that not even the estate agents know how to value a house at the moment because nothing's shifting. Anyway, let's talk to political commentator Theo Usherwood, who joins us now. It does seem madness. Are we being tested? It's made the front page lead of the Mail on Sunday that Rachel Reeves is plotting this mansion tax. Is it just yet another tester?
I think there is perhaps a little bit more credence to this idea of a mansions tax. I mean, you've been discussing in the last couple of hours, of course, Lucy Powell becoming deputy leader of the Labour Party, and we're going to see this increasingly now as a result of that victory, but also discontent within the Labour Party at the way Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are managing things, pressure from the left to be more quote-unquote Labour. And that was the call that we heard particularly from Labour Welsh Assembly members after that defeat to Plaid Cymru in the Caerphilly by-election. The result which came in on Friday was that they were hearing on the doorstep that Labour wasn't being Labour enough. And this is one way that Rachel Reeves can prove to the left of the party that she really does have their best interests at heart. Now, of course, for many of your viewers, they will be very concerned that their property could be valued at more than £2 million. If so, the idea that's being is now under, I think, serious discussion.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying. Data brokers often target vulnerable people with high-interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keeps sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
Is that for properties of £2 million or more, there is a 1% mansion tax. So that if your property is at £3 million, then you will pay a £10,000 a year surcharge. Now, of course, many pensioners will live in properties that are of high value and will be on a fixed income and will be unable to pay that surcharge, let's say, of £10,000 a year, and therefore you would think that it would be deferred. This would probably be the preferable option until they move out of that property or they die, and then there would be a huge bill at the end of it that would come with the inheritance tax.
Yeah, which could in effect wipe out the whole value of the property. Anyway, I mean, it makes inheritance an entire joke. I mean, are they not learning anything? Because doesn't this, being asset rich and cash poor, doesn't that sound like farmers' tax?
Very similar, Stephen. Very similar to what they did to the farmers, but they're making a political calculation, Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer, that this idea will be popular with the left of the party, with Labour core support, Labour members, and that's the base that they have to shore up at the moment. They're not necessarily thinking about the wider economy. They're not necessarily thinking about decisions that will affect the housing market, because of course, if we see a stagnation at the very top of the housing market, that will filter down and mean that it's harder for people to buy properties and get on the housing ladder all the way down.
But forgive me, Theo, why aren't they thinking about the housing market? Because that is the very backbone of our economy. By stimulating the housing market, as the Tories said the other day, by scrapping stamp duty, that's how you stimulate the housing market, and that's how you get growth in the economy.
Completely agree. Completely, I don't disagree with the words you've said, Stephen. I think you're 100% right. And Kemi Badenoch, when she made that announcement at the Conservative Party conference, was widely praised for it, because if you strip away stamp duty, you get people moving, you get people more likely to take up other jobs because they know they can move house easily without being hit by stamp duty. You get people employing builders, plumbers, electricians when they want to do up their property, not to mention the estate agents and the surveyors and solicitors, and then the trips to John Lewis and IKEA to furnish those new properties. But of course, that's a way to get economic growth. But Rachel Reeves has other considerations in mind, and it's not the only policy that's being discussed at the moment, which will, economists and experts a warning could have a very detrimental effect on the economy. Yesterday, there was talk that she could increase the living wage by 4%. Well, we know employers like Sainsbury's, the hospitality industry, the CBI, they're very cautious about the Chancellor putting up the living wage to £12.80 potentially, because of course it will mean that employers are less likely to take people on. They'll drum their fingers on the table and think, well, actually, I'm not going to employ that person because they're too expensive. And that's before, of course, you get to the workers' rights. And from next April, it's going to be law that employers have to introduce statutory sick pay from day one. And all of these measures, economists are arguing, will hit economic growth and stagnate, lead to Rachel Reeves not getting hitting the targets she wants to when it comes to economic growth.
Well, we'll have to leave it there. There's so much more, particularly on domestic politics at the moment. The elevation of Lucy Powell to deputy leader of the party. Is she going to be a thorn in Keir Starmer's side? Thank you so much, Theo. We haven't got time to go into that, but there's some extraordinary photographs in the papers today of them looking so uncomfortable with each other.
Yeah.
Front page of the Sunday Times, just one. They're looking so uncomfortable.
Greg, it's because we've got Greg coming up next. Theo put it absolutely right when he said all these things would seem to actually stunt growth. And yet we're still hearing from the Chancellor about growth, change and growth. But she hasn't done anything to stimulate growth in the economy. She's only brought in things which appear to stunt growth. So how does that make any sense to anybody? That's what I don't understand.
It's just a case of the more you say it, the more some people will believe it. I don't know.
Seems
extraordinary, doesn't it? Anyway, while you scratch your head over that one, let's have a look at the weather.